So thanks once again, and I'm extremely happy to be with all of you today. And I was talking
Thank you,
to
Evan.
Vinod sir, and in fact, we were talking that if this was in person, probably this would have had a different impact. But I guess we'll have to live with it for a couple of more months. Things will get better, I hope, in future. So I have put together something I need to share. I don't know. I'm unable to. It says you cannot share. Somebody has to.
I'll stop the sharing the screen, then you would be able to share. So just give me a
Yes,
moment, sir.
no
I think you
problem.
can share now, sir.
All right. So are you guys able to see my screen? I have just.
Yes.
Yes, sir, we are able to.
So what is it? What are we doing here now? So after an amazing session from Sarup, I was looking at the whole Z spectrum, and I didn't realize for me Z was just a channel, but there's a lot that they do. So it was kind of an eye opener for me. And today we are talking about you, the students out here, right? So if you are somebody like this today, and sorry, I could only get a male figure here. No discrimination, just that Google limits sometimes when you actually want to search something, you don't get it. So if you are you like this and you want to be like that, obviously you have joined Amity because you want to acquire something. You want to become something. And at the end result of it, maybe a couple of months down the line or after you finish your entire studies, you want to be a winner. You want to taste success, right? So between you right now to where you want to be is where Amity comes into picture. You have that much time. And when I talk to students, I kind of have this, a little bit of envy because I can't go back to becoming what you are today. I had finished my schooling and college long back, and it's been 2 decades I am in the industry. But if given a chance, I would love to go back to that classroom. I would love to go back to an environment where I interact with my professors, lecturers, and the time that I have wasted when I was in college. I am realizing the impact of it now. And in my introduction, you must have seen that because I missed out on that, I finished my graduation and immediately I started working. So after working, I realized that no, I need to finish my master's and my project is still pending. I finished my exams and practicals and all. I'm still pursuing my master's. After my project, I will also be a master's. So you can imagine, talk to anybody, any professional, and they will tell you that we want to go back to the classroom. We want to go back to the learning. So you have that opportunity right now. And I will repeat, this is an opportunity. Whatever 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years that you have before you actually get into the market, into the industry, either to become an entrepreneur or to join an organization, please don't waste this time. All right. So if things get better and if I'm invited again for your graduation, when you will become like this, I'm sure you will have a lot of stories to share as to how you have used the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Right now, just quickly moving because I know I have only half an hour and I have a lot of ground to cover. So I'm sharing something from a book that I read and I thought that will be very relevant to the conversation that we are having here. So it's all about your identity, right? Now, you must be in that phase of life. If you look at the psychology and lifespan development, you are somewhere in that early adulthood, you are transitioning. So your childhood is gone and you are entering into a different phase of your life. So you have a future ahead of you and you have a past, right? So you have lived through wherever you are today, you have lived through, and there is a future ahead of you. And in this equation, it's you, and then others are also there, right? While the focus is on you, this whole orientation is about you, but there are others too. When I say others, it is your family members, your neighbors, your teachers, anybody that you came across which is outside of you, right? They were an important player. So what had happened? So if you look at your own identity as on date, and I'm not talking about a future identity, I'm talking about right now. You do remember something about yourself, right? It's not that you have completely forgotten. Yes. If I ask you, okay, how did you feel when you were 5 years old? Probably you don't remember it. There are certain things which are so much ingrained in your long-term memory that you are able to retrieve it, but a lot of it that you don't. But there are few things that you remember about yourself. And you have been repeatedly going back into that past about your own experiences, because of which you have felt that you are what you are today. All right. So that is your remembering self. Now, I said it is just not you. Life is all about, we are social animals and we have a society that we live in. There is an environment. In that environment, people have reflected about you, about your past. Your friends will keep telling you, you know what, तूने ऐसे किया था, you have done that and all that stuff. So that reinforces your identity. It is just not about you alone thinking about yourself, but what others have been feeding you, right? So that is also about the past. So whatever we have spoken so far is about your past. Now you are in Amity and you're looking forward to a better and a brighter future. Here again, people might have told you what you will be or what you can be. Something you have done, let's say a couple of guests are at your home and you sang and they said you will be a great singer. Okay, I'm just taking an example. Or there is a wedding in the family and you organize everything and somebody said you will be a good event manager. You know, so when they said, somewhere you took it on the face value of it. And especially if it comes from an authoritative figure, then it is like, yeah, that has to be the truth, right? So they have already kind of put that seed in your mind that you will be better at this. But what I want to tell you is, what is it that you want to be? And I think Swaroop has touched upon it somewhere, and I will bring that element in my next slide. But at this point in time, probably you are thinking like, sir, that is the problem. I don't know what I want to be. Right? I'm sure. I mean, if you were in front of me and I pick someone and ask, okay, what is it that you want to be? Probably you'll be scratching your head and thinking like, really, what is it that I want to be? You might have taken admission into a course. I mean, I understand MIT offers a range of courses. You might have picked something. You must have thought about it, or there was pressure from your family, or you saw some cousin doing it and being successful and you wanted to pursue that line. You got into it. Fine. You got into it. It's just fine. You have to finish it. But I want you to think, what is it that you really want to be? So if you're thinking that, okay, this guy is going to leave us with that question and we are still clueless, so let me help you with another Venn diagram that I came across, this wonderful book called Ikigai. It's a Japanese word. So I hope you all understand what a Venn diagram is. You just draw these circles. So it is the search that you have to do within yourself. So the first thing is what you love to do. I think Swaroop was talking about some passion and all that stuff, right? We will come to that. But understand what is it that you love to do. Like, I love to talk to younger people so that I know what I have missed. And I want to tell them at that stage to course correct their life so that they see success early on, or they are happier souls and stuff like that, right? So you will have to figure out what is it that you love to do. The second is what the world needs. Because there might be something that you love to do, but is it whatever you do is also what the world needs? That's an important question, especially given the world that we are living in. I mean, our elders, or for that matter, when I went to school or colleges, we did not have internet and all. We did not share so much. And as Swaroop was mentioning about some concert and how quickly they turned around with the help of Instagram and all, this is a different world we are in. And some of the theories that were applicable at a certain point in time might not be applicable now, because in the last couple of decades, it's not even, 200 years, couple of decades after internet has come in, this social media, the crowdsourcing and stuff like that, our world has changed completely. And our future world is also going to change. If you happen to read books, do please read books about how the world is going to be, while also reading about history, but at the same time, how the future looks like, right? So what is that the world needs at this point in time? And again, it is a question that you have to answer, you have to search. That is why the title says The Search. Obviously, you don't want to work for free. You want some amount of remuneration for the services that you offer, right? So what is it that the world can pay you for whatever you're trying to do? And last, what are you good at? Because all of us are good at something. And I'm sure if you just look at your phone book and take out like 10 friends, you can easily say that, okay, one of my friend is good at something, this person is good at something, he or she is good at something, right? So you will also have to figure out what you are good at. Again, going back to the previous slide, not just basis what people have told you, but you yourself deep down, do you feel that? Please understand, we are not a static snapshot. We are dynamic organisms and we change. What you were when you were like 6-7 years old and now when you are in your early 20s, you can clearly see. And I think that is how our lifespan is, right? So if now you must be wondering like, okay, fine, these are the 4 questions, but how does one translate into each other? So what you are good at and what you love to do is nothing but your passion. Because if you are passionate about something, you obviously automatically you would love to do that. And the more you do that, you will only get better. You know, it's like the muscle. In fact, yesterday I was attending a workshop on positive psychology, and it talks about repetition of your neurons. You know, it's not only just going to the gym and then lifting heavy weight to become muscular or leaner or whatever, but your brain is so elastic that you can create neurons. Anything that you use more often, it will only get strengthened. So there is a term in neuroscience world which says neurons that fire together are wired together, because our neurons are like, you know, if there is somebody from biology, probably they will be able to explain it much better. But if you take out a neuron and go around the world, you can kind of go like, I don't know how many times. So many neurons are there in our brain. So you can strengthen them by exercises. So just like that, your passion will lead you to become better at something. Okay. Then what you love to do and what the world needs is kind of your mission. Now, I don't know how many of you know Greta from Sweden. She is the youngest climate change activist. She's just a teenager, but I think her mission now is to educate the governments and the people about the impacts of inventions that we are doing and how drastically that's impacting the climate, the ecology, and stuff like that, right? So you need to figure out a mission where the world needs those services. What you can be paid for and what the world needs is kind of a vocation. So career options will come out of that. And lastly, what you're good at, what you get paid for becomes your profession, right? So when I say profession, I'm not just limiting to, you know, working in a corporate world or in a job. It can be an entrepreneurship as well as startup, because these days we hear a lot of startups coming up. The government is supporting it, and India is being looked at as a large region where so many possibilities are there. And a lot of youngsters that I come across have wonderful ideas. I mean, I'll just quickly remember one young girl that I bumped into, and we were talking, and she said, I want to be an entrepreneur. Then I said, okay, I mean, for entrepreneurship, definitely what the world needs is very important, because unless there is a market for it, your product or services might not be sold or, you know, consumed. Then she said, I have some brilliant idea. I said, what is it? She said, these days we see a lot of people smoking and they're just throwing the cigarette butt, wherever. And if you go to corporate campuses, there is a designated smoking area where the cigarette butts are thrown. And they don't do anything with that. I said, what do you mean they don't do anything? What is it that we can do with a cigarette butt? Then she said, we are not realizing the impact it has on the environment, and she wants to use it for something else. So she went on and on and on. I was like, wow, I did not even think. When I looked at some of the colleagues smoking and throwing it, it did not strike me that that thing, which is so useless, can be used for something else. So, she has attached. So her passion is to ensure that she becomes an entrepreneur. And she also understands that the world needs our attention to take care of certain things which are drastically impacting our climate. So she's on that path. So you know what that has turned into? It has turned into a reason for being. What is your reason to be here in this world, in this time and space? It's very easy to just, go to college, have fun, spend time in the canteen and bunk classes, have parties and all that stuff, which is absolutely okay. I mean, fun is very important. It's one of the values of our company. I mean, in our company, there are 7 values and one of the values is fun. So we do a lot of fun stuff in corporate world as well. But the easy part, the comfortable part is just to go, finish, write exams and come out. But the difficult part is to come out of that comfort zone and asking these difficult questions. Because searching something is not that easy, especially a concept or an area like this. It is not Google, wherein you can go and just type, okay, what do I love to do? Unfortunately, Google will not give you that answer. Try it. Try and put all these questions in Google. I can challenge it will not give you any answer. The only search engine that can give you that answer is you alone. And don't even ask these questions to anybody else. Probably you can ask them about their journey, their story, but you will not get any answers from anybody when you ask them these. So in my introduction, you must have heard Dr. Rawal talking about it, that after spending some time, I took a decision to move into human resources. Now, if you tell any executive in a corporate world who is aspiring to become a CEO, would say that that's a very bad move because HR is looked at a little differently. And thanks to COVID, the perception of HR is changing because now we also have a seat at the table and we are equal partners with the business now. But a lot of my friends said that you are in a good position. You have a lot of leverage. You have a larger team. You have certain budgets. Why is it that you want to go and join a support function, which doesn't earn revenue for the organization, but it is a overhead and a cost? I told them that is what I'm good at. That is what I love to do. And I think that is what the organization needs. I mean, I changed the world to an organization because I realized that within an organization, HR people are so little, but the policies are applicable to everybody. And these small set of people have to drive that. So I said, okay, that is an area where I can contribute to a larger population. Instead of being in one business unit, which is probably like, 500 people, now I am a part of an organization where there are 130,000 employees. So whatever we do, in a way, contributes to the development or to the betterment of the employees. So I know I have only 8 more minutes. So I just want to leave you with this thought that continue the search. And this search is not going to be, you ask these questions and tomorrow you will have an answer. It's a very patient search and you have a lot of time. That is where I said, utilize. You have amazing personalities. I was just looking at some of the names here, though I don't know anybody personally, but I'm sure in future we will have some more collaboration and I get to know. But there are a lot of doctors, there are a lot of professors. They have so much of knowledge with them and the wisdom. There is a difference between data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. And I think I would pay a lot of emphasis on all these great ladies and gentlemen, that they have the wisdom, they have seen, they have gone through, and they will be able to add to the missing links, the questions that you have anywhere, which is like a fill in the blank, and you don't know what that blank is. Leverage these people, and they will fill the blank. And also, please don't forget them. I keep telling people that, are you in touch? I take a lot of sessions in the corporate world, and I ask them, how many of you are still in touch with your professor or lecturers? And a lot of them are like, oh, I would love to, but I don't have the time. I'm married now, I have children, and I have so much of work to do and all. But please don't forget, whatever you are today, it's primarily because of the help they have extended. And I think teaching is one profession which is so selfless. And I am still in touch with my school teachers. And I would urge you, please leverage while you are searching the answers for these questions. So I take a pause there. I know we have only 6 more minutes. And that is the end of my presentation. I'll stop the share, and I don't know if people have some questions for me.
Thank you so much, sir. There are a few questions I think the student have asked. What is the successful life mantra?
Very good, Priya. There is no one mantra. I seriously wish I can give you one piece of advice, because I was reading this book called Range. Range is not just 1, 2, but it is like bigger range. So success, again, is a very socio-psychological concept. Now, let me elaborate what I mean by that. Socio is what the society has told you, that if you earn, 5 lakhs per month, you are successful. So socially, that is the burden that society has given you. And in your own mind, psychological, you think that, okay, I am successful only when I reach to a certain point, or when I earn, or I become something like this. So it's all socio-psychological. So you have to define what is success to you means. And then you will figure out the mantras by yourself.
Thank you so much, sir. The students are also mentioning the best compliment and appreciating your session, sir. Very, very inspiring session with you, sir. So thank you so much, sir. And it was a wonderful session, sir. And the way you explain about the success mantra and how the students can be benefited from the Amity University. So thank you so much, sir, for helping students to find out the path and tips for their successful career. I think Tejwani, one more thing I want to add, thanks to CRC team and Tejwani, sir, for bringing such a wonderful and eminent speaker. I think Tejwani, sir, wants to say something, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, so there is one question from
okay, you want to ask.
How can I come over with mixed head about career?
All right. So if I got the question correctly, mixed head means you're saying that there's some amount of confusion in your head. Right? Okay. So now also understand our brains, our mind, is not meant for multitasking. I mean, there are few people who take great pride in saying that I can multitask, but unfortunately, that's not how our mind works. So confusion is also a kind of, multitasking where you have one part of the brain saying something, the other part is saying something. So you have to narrow down. And that is where questioning comes into picture. And, our hand, now these days, I know we are using a lot of mobile phones and screen time and all. But please try and using our hand, which is such a powerful tool. I mean, that is why when you start writing, I don't know how many of you have a habit of writing journals, but if you pick up any successful people, whatever you want to call them, they all have the habit of writing. So sit down in an environment where you are not disturbed by others and by your own observations, because now you are in an environment where you are listening to me, right? A simple click or a beep on your phone, you can easily get distracted. And I'm sure in the last 30 minutes, most of you might have got distracted. So that is how our mind works. So get into an environment where you are completely free of distractions. Sit down, write, and ask these questions. Hopefully that will help you clear out the confusion. But if you are in an environment where you are constantly, there is a stimuli, then your mind responds differently and you might find it difficult to clear that clutter in your mind.
Great, sir. And there is one more question from one of the students. Are there any books which you can recommend, especially in terms of philosophers in particular?
Okay, well, there are a lot of books. I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, my little library is not here. If not, I would have given you a little glimpse of it. But I would say, again, the range comes into picture. When I started reading, I used to read a lot about, the psychology bit and all. But then I met one of the inspector journals here in Hyderabad, and we were talking over dinner at somebody's place, and the topic about books came up, and he said, what are the kind of books that you read? And I said, anything which has a human word in it. Then he said, expand. Then now I start reading about autobiography. So at any given point in time, there are 4 books that I try and read. One is on autobiography about successful or great leaders. Second is about history, both about India as well as the world history. And the third is about my subject, which is psychology. And the fourth is about the work that I do, which is around HR. So now, if you ask me about the books, it's very difficult for me to put a finger on it. But what I'll do, Vinod sir, is probably I can share with you a list of books for different categories. And then it will allow students to pick the one that kind of attracts them, the title of the book.
I think there is one last question. Your advice to 18-year-old self, what they should start with, and that will make a great future life for them. So a piece of advice from you.
Great question. Yeah, I kind of just glanced through, and let me see. Arhan Saeed for asking that question. And thank you, Arhan, for a lovely question. And I think that's a good segue for us to end this segment as well by this answer. So the advice for my younger self is, I did not put goals for my life. And even if I had put goals in my life, I missed the process of achieving those goals. Because it's very easy for anybody to put a certain goal or a resolution. And I think we have seen a number of times where at the beginning of the year, everybody starts putting some resolution. Okay, my New Year resolution is this. I want to do this and all, which is good. But what I missed, or what I was not told, or what I was not exposed to, was what is the process that one takes to achieve those goals. So there is a system. And let me tell you, the only system is to follow a routine. I mean, your professors keep telling you that don't wait for your final exams. Please read. But what we do is end up at just beginning of the exam, we start taking our books and we want to clear the exam, right? So it is as simple as that. The process is you start and you follow a routine and you do repetitions and you will only get better. And when the time comes for your exam, it's a cake of, it's a piece of cake and you will just finish the exam like this. So that's one advice that I want to give all students here. Thank you, everyone, and all the best. See you guys. Bye-bye.